I'm on a roll tonight, so I'm going to do Rise of the Beast Part 2. Get some of these on here so I can get them uploaded. Remember, on Rise of the Beast Part 1, all these 10 nations, and the 7 and the other 10 nations went after Israel, and they would hide in the wilderness now and protected. So he turned and went after the Christian nations, us. Okay, we're going to go from there to Part 2, start with the Revelation 13:11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The second beast is the false prophet that promotes the first beast. Notice that the second beast rises up from within the earth. This is a man that has been sealed up in the bottomless pit. He has the same authority and power as the first beast and speaks the words of Satan himself. This is the man that was cast out of heaven because of his jealousy of Jesus. This man wanted the position of Jesus as the Lamb of God. That is why he is compared to the Lamb here. The beast is Lucifer himself. And Lucifer and Satan are 2 different people. Go to know your enemy. No, the heavenly sons of God that I've already done. And I can prove to you there that Satan and Lucifer are 2 different people. Okay, Revelation 13:12 and 14. 12 through 14. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders. He maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them they that dwell on the earth, and they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. The second beast promotes the first beast and performs miracles in the sight of men. One can assume that the second beast is a religious figure that causes the world to worship a false god and to worship the first beast, which most will believe is the Son of God and the Messiah. The Antichrist begins as the leader of one of the major 7 nations. He was the head. An assassination attempt leaves him as dead, but recovers. He then moves up, becomes the leader of the 17 nations. He becomes the leader of the New World Government. The false prophet, which is a religious leader, promotes the Antichrist and causes all to worship the Antichrist and his image. It has now become mandatory to receive the mark of the beast. We are at the mid-tribulation point, and the abomination of desolation has occurred. This is when the Antichrist claims that he is God at the holy place in Jerusalem. When this occurs, the 144,000 saints are taken to heaven. The 3.5-year rule of the Antichrist begins at this point. Revelation 14:1 through 5. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000 having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as a voice of great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as if it were a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man can learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb, wheresoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Remember that the 144,000 received God's mark at the beginning of World War III, the Magog battle. and at the beginning of the tribulation period. Now they are standing with the Lord. It's at mid-trib point. The two witnesses have risen, and the 144,000 have risen, and the church has been raptured. The rapture will be shown in a moment. Are the 144,000 literal virgins? Not necessarily. There is no fault found in them. This means that they were under the law of liberty, which means they are saved and born again. They are considered the first fruits. They are the first fruits of the house of Israel and the house of Judah, which have received Christ as their Messiah and have been saved and born again. In Romans 11, Paul is speaking to the Gentiles and warning them not to be puffed up because they have been grafted into the holy tree. Romans 11:24. For if thou wert cut off of the olive tree which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? This passage is stating that if the Gentiles could be brought into the family of God, it would be much easier for the house of Israel, the lost tribes, and the house of Judah, which are the natural people of God, to be brought back into their own family. Romans 11:25. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel, and to the fullness of the Gentiles become. The house of Israel has been partially blinded of what? Of who they really are. The house of Israel is the Christian nations. They believe that they are Gentile nations, and they don't even realize that they are the revived house of Israel. But they will continue to be blinded to this fact until the fullness of the Gentiles has come. The fullness of the Gentiles is after the next war. America and the rest of the world are about to find out the true identity of the house of Israel. Back to the 144,000. They are of the 12 tribes of Israel. They are found to have no fault, which means they are saved and born again with the liberty of Christ. Fault, sins, and iniquities are three different things. The church teaches that they all mean the same thing. They don't. Then I got another video on that too. Okay. They find not to have no fault, which means they are saved and born again with the liberty of Christ. They are filled with the Spirit of God. They are considered virgins because of their liberty. They were sealed at the beginning of the tribulation period. They are now with the Lord at the mid-tribulation point. Let's go one step further. Revelation 14:12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith in Jesus. Remember back in chapter 12 when the beast overcame the saints and the Lord told the saints to be patient. Now comes their reward for being patient. Notice that the saints keep the commandments of God and the faith in Jesus. These are Christians. Revelation 14:13 through 16. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon that cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel come out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. Okay, the saints have been patient. Okay, and what it states there, anyone who dies in the Lord from this point forward is going to be especially blessed. The earth is ripe with believers at this point. And Jesus, who is the one on the cloud, brings his people home. This is when the rapture occurs. Okay, the seals have been opened. The 144,000 receive the seal of God in their foreheads. The two witnesses start their ministry. The trumpet judgments begin with World War III, or the Magog battle. 5 months of torment occurs. 11 more months of intensified battle occurs. The beast rises to power. The beast defeats the Christian nations. The image of the beast and the mark of the beast becomes world law. The two witnesses are killed by the beast in Jerusalem and have risen in 3.5 days. The 144,000 are taken up to the Lord, and all the saved and born again Christians are raptured. The witnesses, 144,000 Christians, are taken at this time, mid-tribulation point. We'll now find out a few more details about the beasts that are mentioned in the books of prophecy. The book of Daniel has a lot to say about the beast. Daniel 7:23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse or different from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it to pieces. Notice that the entire earth will be subject to this last kingdom. It isn't just an area of the earth, it's the whole earth. Daniel 7:24. And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be different from the first, and subdue 3 kings. The 10 kingdoms that are united rise first. This has already happened in the United Nations. There are now more than 10 in the United Nations, but there are 10 that are under the influence of Satan. Recent conflicts in the Middle East have brought out the fact that most of the UN is anti-Israel. They're always coming against Israel. The stage has been set. The beast is a leader of a nation today. He is just waiting for his time. Daniel 7:25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and a dividing of a time. Notice that the beast will wear out the saints. He defeats the Christian nations. He also talks against God of Israel. It is interesting that he also changes time. The different time changes around the world will be somehow changed. He also will establish new laws for the entire world to follow. That's happening right now. The time and times and half time is 3.5 years that he will rule. This is the last 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation. So let's go a little further here. Daniel 18:19. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. Daniel is about to receive information that concerns the days just before the end of the world as we know it. Daniel 8:20. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. Okay? Persia, of course, is Iran. Media was to the north of Persia in southern Russia. The 2 kings are the leaders of Russia and Iran. They are joined together as allies. Daniel 8:21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Grecia are the Christian nations. I'll go into more detail about that later. The great horde is the powerful nation of the Christian nations. So he's talking about he's going against Grecia or the Christian nations. Daniel 8:23, and the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. This is talking about the fullness of the Gentiles or the transgressors. This is when Russia and Iran attack Israel and the Christian nations in the Magog battle. After this battle is when the beast will come to power. He's doing all the stuff, but we really don't know who he is yet. He's building all the stuff. He's a leader of a nation. It's causing a lot of havoc. But you don't know who he is until he establishes himself as God in the holy place. I'm going to stop here on this one. It's part 2. Then I'll start on part 3. You have a blessed day.